today. Think back to your very first love. Maybe it was sweet, maybe it was painful, maybe it was both at once. Whatever it was, that experience left behind a mark, not just in memory, but in the body itself. And here's the paradox: even when we forget, we still remember. The way you fight, the way you cling, the way you run from intimacy. All of it may be less about who's in front of you now and more about who was there back then. Two questions hang in the air. Why does that first bond still echo through every connection that follows? And what hidden link ties heartbreak to the compulsions we use to soothe ourselves? At the end of this talk, you'll see how an unseen past has been shaping your present and what you can do next. When we struggle in relationships, the question we usually ask is, what's wrong with me? We look at our patterns: clinginess, shutting down, choosing partners who hurt us, and we assume we're broken. But the real question is softer and truer. What happened to me? Trauma doesn't always mean something dramatic or violent. Sometimes it's obvious, like growing up around chaos, fear, or loss. But just as often, it's subtle. It's what we didn't get: a parent too distracted or overwhelmed to notice our tears, a hug that never came when we needed it most. Emotional neglect isn't about cruelty. It's about absence. It's the silence where comfort should have been. And a child left alone with big feelings has no choice but to adapt. We learned ways to survive. Some of us became hyper-independent, telling ourselves we didn't need anyone. Others clung tightly, afraid of being left behind. Some numbed their pain through distraction, food, work, or substances. These weren't flaws, they were brilliant strategies created by a young nervous system doing its best to keep us safe. The trouble is, what once protected us can start to misfire later on. The same armor that shielded us as children becomes the wall that keeps intimacy out. The vigilance that kept us alert to danger turns into anxiety that won't let us rest, and the numbing that helped us endure ends up cutting us off from joy. This is not just your story, it's ours. Every one of us carries echoes of those first bonds, those first lessons about safety and love. And when we begin to see our struggles not as evidence of weakness, but as evidence of survival, something softens. Shame loosens its grip. We begin to understand nothing is wrong with us. Something happened to us. And healing is about learning how to respond differently now, with the wisdom of adults who can finally offer ourselves what we once longed for. When Anna was a little girl, she used to run to the window every evening, waiting for her father to come home from work. She'd press her forehead against the cool glass, watching headlights sweep down the street, each one raising a flicker of hope. Most nights he came in late, tired, already half absorbed in the newspaper or the TV. Anna would linger in the doorway, holding a drawing she made at school. But the moment would pass. He'd glance, nod, and she'd slip away, tucking her excitement back inside. Fast forward 20 years. Anna is 30, successful at her job, admired for her independence. Friends tell her she's strong, that she doesn't need anyone. But quietly, she wonders why her relationships keep following the same script. The men she chooses are charming at first, confident, self-contained, never needy. She's drawn to that steadiness. Yet soon the same ache creeps in. Unanswered texts, vague promises, nights of waiting for them to call. She tells herself she shouldn't want so much. She buys new books, pours herself into work, scrolls through her phone to fill the silence. One night, sitting alone after a canceled dinner date, Anna notices the familiar scene, her food getting cold, her heart pacing between hope and disappointment. It's as if she's back at that window again, waiting for someone to arrive who rarely does. 3 insights arise from her story. First, when a child's emotional world is not met with attunement, that simple act of being seen and responded to, the child learns to dim their own needs to make themselves smaller. Second, in adulthood, we often mistake emotional distance for strength because it feels familiar. We chase what once felt like home, even if it was lonely. Third, unmet needs don't vanish. They hide, surfacing later as patterns we can't explain. Choosing partners who can give what we ache for, reenacting the old story in new relationships. But here's the quiet truth: what was once repeated can in time be rewritten. The question is how we move from reenacting the past to gently creating something different. That's where the journey of healing begins. James is the kind of man people point to when they talk about success. He's the first one in the office, the last one to leave. His emails are answered within minutes, his projects spotless. On the outside, it looks like discipline. On the inside, it feels like survival. When James gets home, he doesn't slow down. He scrolls through his phone long past midnight, eyes burning, thumb flicking. If the silence grows too heavy, he pours a drink. Just one, maybe two, until the edge softens. He tells himself he's fine. He doesn't miss deadlines, he doesn't lose control. And in a way, that's true. He's high functioning, reliable, admired. But every night when the lights are off and the phone slips from his hand, a quiet emptiness hums beneath it all. If you ask James about his childhood, he'd shrug, nothing terrible happened, but dig a little deeper and a different picture emerges. A mother preoccupied with her own worries, a father who provided but rarely noticed what James was feeling. No one cruel, but no one really attuned either. So James learned young that the best way to avoid disappointment was to keep his feelings hidden and stay busy. If no one could meet his inner world, maybe he could build a life impressive enough that the ache inside would quiet down. The addiction isn't the mystery here: the phone, the bottle, the endless work. They're all understandable. The real question isn't why the addiction, but why the pain? Why the need to run from stillness? Why the fear of stopping long enough to feel? James's story isn't about weakness. It's about a brilliant, resourceful child who discovered how to numb the unbearable loneliness of not being fully seen. Those strategies worked once. They helped him endure. It's only now, in adulthood, that they begin to cost him, robbing him of rest, intimacy, and presence. So the invitation isn't to judge or to shame, but to wonder gently, what pain have I been soothing rather than facing? And perhaps more importantly, if I could offer myself the comfort I once longed for, what might I no longer need to escape from? Imagine your brain like a smoke alarm. Its job is to keep you safe. If it senses fire, it blares. But here's the thing: once you've lived through a fire, even years ago, that alarm can grow overly sensitive. Now it goes off at the faintest hint of smoke, even when there's no real danger. That's how implicit memory works. Even when your mind can't recall every detail, your body remembers. It keeps the imprint of what once felt unsafe so it can protect you next time. This isn't weakness, it's intelligence. Your nervous system learned patterns to keep you alive. If as a child, closeness sometimes meant rejection, your body may tense up when someone leans in. Not because you don't want love, but because your smoke alarm still hears the crackle of an old fire. Think of a moment when someone raises their voice. Logically, you might know it's not a threat, but your heart races, your stomach tightens, your muscles prepare to flee or fight. That's not overreaction. That's a body remembering. It's the past echoing in the present, trying to guard you from harm. And here's the hopeful part: smoke alarms can be recalibrated. With time, awareness, and safe connection, the body can learn the difference between then and now. The alarm doesn't have to scream at every spark. It can learn to quiet when what's in front of you is safe, not dangerous. So when your chest tightens or your hands shake in moments that don't make sense, It's not proof that you're broken. It's proof that your body's loyal. So loyal, it's still carrying the lessons of long ago. And just as it once learned to protect you, it can also learn to rest. The first step toward change isn't to fix yourself, it's simply to notice. One gentle practice is keeping an awareness journal. Nothing elaborate, just a few lines at the end of the day. What moment stirred something in me? Who was I with? What did I feel in my body? Writing these small snapshots builds a map. Patterns emerge, and suddenly, what felt random begins to make sense. Awareness itself is healing because it turns the unseen into the seen. When a trigger arises, instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try soft questions. What might this feeling be protecting? When have I felt something like this before? Compassionate inquiry isn't about blame. It's about curiosity. Each question opens a window into the story your body is still carrying. In the heat of those moments, even one somatic pause can change the day. Try this. Place your feet on the ground. Take one slow breath and let your eyes gently scan the room. Orienting to the present tells your nervous system, I'm here and I'm safe now. It's not about erasing the trigger, it's about giving the alarm inside you a chance to reset. Boundaries can also be a form of care. Choose just one this week, maybe saying no to a request that drains you or limiting a conversation that leaves you raw. A single clear boundary reinforces to your body that you are not powerless. You can shape what enters your life. And finally, healing rarely happens in isolation. Reach for one safe connection. That might mean a trusted friend, a support group, or a therapist. Being seen without judgment does something no self-help book can do. It rewires the old story that you must carry everything alone. Each of these steps is small, but together they create space where your past no longer dictates your present. And as with any journey this tender, if you find yourself overwhelmed, seeking professional support is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom, an act of giving yourself the care you deserve. Would you like me to now write a closing that ties the whole talk together with hope and a sense of forward movement? Anna waiting by the window for love that never quite arrived, and James numbing his loneliness through endless work and scrolling. Both were carrying the same truth. The past lived on inside them. But the tools we've named, awareness, compassion, inquiry, grounding, boundaries, safe connection, are how we begin to interrupt the old script. Think of roots buried deep in the earth, cracked and twisted by years of pressure. Even through those fractures, light can rise. It doesn't rush, it doesn't force. It comes slowly, gently, in tiny rays that find their way upward. Change is like that. It's not about leaping into transformation overnight. It's about creating small moments of safety where healing can take root. Each pause, each breath, each honest word to a friend is a crack where light enters. Tiny wins count, and over time, the ground inside us shifts, not by erasing what happened, but by letting new life grow through it. So much of what shapes us began before we even had words, but the fact that we're here, listening, reflecting, that itself is a sign of courage. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about meeting ourselves now with the tenderness we once needed. This week, I invite you to try just one experiment. Notice one moment when your body reacts faster than your mind, and instead of pushing it away, pause. Breathe. Place a hand on your chest and simply ask, what are you protecting me from right now? That small act of listening is the beginning of trust. Remember, Transformation doesn't come from force, it comes from tiny moments of safety, repeated over and over.